Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the wonderful show we call the Inworld Review. This is a program where we look at the latest news and discuss various events in what we call the metaverse, the world of immersive spaces, creative spaces mostly, online in this wonderful online age. It's the time of a new metaphor. Forget pages and think places. That's what the metaverse is all about. Now, this week, um, I don't really need to actually consult my calendar to remember the date today because, as all Americans know, particularly, it is July the 4th. And of course, we are in the grand old year of 2015, and it's amazing. We're halfway through the year and I haven't got it wrong yet. It's normally the year I get wrong, not the date. And that, of course, means it's American Independence Day, and there are lots of celebrations and stuff going on at the same time. Coincidentally, 2 days ago, it was Canada Day, which yes, the 1st of July. And so there are similar celebrations going on over at our HQ on the Great Canada Grid as well. So it's definitely a case of festival week, as it were. So also, because it is the first Friday, sorry, the first Saturday, get that bit right, can't I? Right, the first Saturday of the month, we are actually coming to you from our good old Chilbo studios over in that grand old high street of the Metaverse Second Life. And I'm joined today, of course, by my regular co-host, Tara Yates. Hi, Tara.
Howdy, Mel. Howdy, Mel.
And Maria Kovalov.
Hi, Mal. Always a pleasure to be here.
And it's a welcome back to two regular guests, even though we haven't actually seen either one of them for a couple of months now, for one reason or another. Firstly, joining us on the seat, so to speak, but also a return to doing our camera this week too. It's a great welcome to Petlove Petshop. Hi, Pet.
Hello.
And lastly, but certainly not least, it's, another day, another destination and all that stuff because we've got with us Honor McMillan. Welcome, Honor.
Thank you, Mal. Hello.
Now, I'm going to read out just a couple of the highlights from my Twitter feed, which is remarkably short this week because there are no entries from Hyperica. I wonder why.
My intern is still on vacation.
Exactly. So it makes the scrolling a bit easier, if nothing else. And in fact, the list is fairly short. And then we'll be going over to Tara for some Second Life news and stuff, and we'll be focusing a bit on Second Life later too. For those of you who don't know, Second Life celebrated the week before last, in fact, their 12th birthday. And they have a 2-week birthday celebration. The first week was for the talks and stuff, many of which have finally arrived as video transcripts online. I think all but one of the Meet the Lindens has appeared, oddly enough, on YouTube under Second Life's account, not on anybody else's. Although several other people did do half-assed sort of filming with interfaces showing and stuff. There's also been a couple of the ones I actually tried to do, which was the Meet the Artist with Taralyn Gravois. Have also come up too. So, but a few films are sort of slowly appearing as we go along. Plus, a lot more entries to the what I think of Second Life sort of theme that a lot of people have been making videos for. Right. Okay. Petlove's actually whispered to me in back chat, actually, as opposed to on the air, that she actually did all 5 of the Linden films. I guess they were for Zafir, but they've instead of ending up in a normal place, they came from the Second Life YouTube account.
They were for I think Safia. I think the Lindens asked Safia if she would provide them, or I don't know who asked who, but
Yeah.
it was for both of them really. But Safia
Yeah.
asked me, so they're on
Yeah.
the Linden Lab YouTube channel.
Yeah, and
They're on my channel with a password, but I think I can turn them loose soon.
well, they're embedded on my blog as well.
Yeah, they're all over the
Direct,
place.
direct from Linden Stream, so
Hmm.
that doesn't seem to be any protection in place, and nor should there be.
Right.
We did have to wait a good few days for them to appear, but since they are good quality films as opposed to the interface showing and no camera movement jobs that some people did, I think we're worthy of the wait. Yeah, we'll be talking about those a bit later, or everything going on. Anyhow, this week just gone by, I think they it will actually have closed today, but it was actually the final week of the community birthday celebration build. And although there haven't been any events, the regions have been open for people to go in and pop around. And there have been lots actually of blogs this week, more so than last week during the main events, about the birthday build. I guess people taking a more leisurely pace and looking at all the art exhibits and all the spectacular stuff people have built there to show off to us. So we'll have a bit more on that later. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just going to go through my highlights here from last week. I always start with the publication of last week's Inworld review, and there's a couple of links before that I don't know we even covered last week. It's very hard to tell, but they'll be coming up with Maria a little bit later. Um, um, yes, editorials from Maria. Why Palmer is wrong about VR gaming. And the petition that we mentioned last week, Home Lane Furnishings. Phone Maker One Plus, yeah. Okay. Right. NASA and HoloLens, yes, okay. Let's see if I can get to something that isn't hyper business. Yes, here we are, Road to VR. NVIDIA, they're the people that make many people's favorite graphics cards, actually, the GeoForces and all that lot. NVIDIA have taken the lid off something called GameWorks VR. And technical deep dive and community question and answer at road2vr.com. This, along with the other links I mentioned, you can find on my Twitter stream, which is twitter.com/Malburns, or one word, or at least the ones we're doing now are at that location. Right, hypergood business. Oh, this is good, isn't it? Right, I also posted in my Annex blog, which is malburnsannex.blogspot.com, a couple of real world videos, as you might call them. One was the proceedings of yet another Silicon Valley virtual reality panel discussion, dealing with the rise of consumer VR. Right. Interesting one here. It may or may not have been from Daniel Voyager. I've only got my short Earl up on screen. But July 2015, obviously, update. Second Life regions are still declining and open sim regions are still increasing. I think that was from Dan Voyager. It's based on these sort of statistics. There'll be another loss in December. But
Yeah, those are from Daniel.
yeah, I thought they might be. Yeah, interesting stats though, really. Again, I'm not sure where everything came from. I posted an article on how virtual reality can improve online learning. Maria talks about 2 travel agencies that are already in there. High Fidelity, this again, I think might have been Road to VR. High Fidelity, which of course is Rosedale's new company, have launched a $15,000 STEM VR challenge. And I'm not sure who posted the article, but you'll find the link on that Twitter feed again. And yes, another Silicon Valley virtual reality clip, which was the local meetup from Palo Alto, number 20. And I put that on my Malburn's Annex blogspot.com blog as well. Right. A couple of things that I just found. I believe this was yesterday. A game, actually. I haven't got the direct link. You'll again have to go to Twitter to look for it. But it's a game called Eco, introducing Eco. and it looks rather good as games goes. But what I found was the description and everything seemed to make it feel very much like a virtual reality game. It's basically an ecosystem simulator where everybody has to work together to nurture a shared planet. And that seemed to me to be a very worthy theme for a game. No shooting and battles and stuff like that. And apparently there's sort of AI sort of stuff built into it so that, unexpected things happen that you have to cope with as a community as you're playing. And it's not an individual game you play. It is actually a multiplayer online experience, if that's the word we use. And I haven't tried it, I hate to add, but finding time for these things is a problem. But this one did sound particularly interesting, and it looked very good too. So you might want to check that out. And I don't think this came from Maria, but a company called OnePlus. And this is in the UK, certainly, as well as the US by the look of it, are now giving away cardboard VR headsets. Basically, you can get them for free. You just have to pay $5
Mel,
for shipping.
Mel,
Yeah.
I got some bad news on that.
Oh.
They gave away 30,000 of those headsets. They ran out of them in one day.
Oh.
So sorry, but there's a $7 one available on Amazon. And the trick is when you order them, make sure that the button's on top, not on the side. That's how you tell the difference that it's the latest version 2.0, not the old one. You want the 2.0 one to be compatible with all the latest Google Cardboard applications.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this particular PR actually appeared in the UK as opposed to America, so I guess they're a bit behind the scenes.
But can you believe it? They sent out 30,000 of them and pretty much immediately ran out.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, that's. I remember there was a thing in there is when people vacuum their carpets in the UK, they always refer to it as hoovering, even though there are 1,000,001 different types of vacuum around. But the company Hoover still make these, and I do remember they did a spring something offer at some point, which would have been an offer under normal circumstances anyway, but it was even more of an offer because they dropped to zero from the price by accident. And well, under the law, they had to provide these at whatever pittance of a price, like $4. They accidentally started making them available at, and of course their warehouse ran out in seconds. They had to make a little more and fulfill all the orders. So you have to be careful when you're saying, "Oh well, we got lots of free stuff." Yeah, but only 30,000. Right. Anyway, I digress. And Hypergrid Business again is the later ones. Fover's finally ended the Kickstarter, so we'll leave that till Maria comes on. I'm going to switch over to my second live Twitter account, which is probably more relevant for what we're going to be talking about today. Meanwhile, I'm going to hand over to Tara for her latest takes on Here, There, and Everywhere. So over to you, Tara.
Thank you, Mel. And greetings, everyone, from the Pacific Northwest, where we are sweltering still. And no firm let up in sight, although we have high hopes that maybe by about Thursday, we won't be hitting temperatures in the 90s in Western Washington, where it doesn't do this. Anyway, yes, it's been much, much, much too hot for those of us who have moss growing between our toes and are used to live in rainforests where it's supposed to be raining.
I should
and
add,
it's not supposed to get this hot.
I forgot to add, I should have done the weather for the UK too. We actually reached disgraceful 93 in the week, which basically had our roads melting and has only been recorded once before. So it wasn't pleasant. So you guys over there got my sympathies, because at least we only got 2 days. You're getting 2 weeks at least.
Yeah. Well, and it's only June, and we get hot, a little bit of hot weather in July or August, but we still got July and August to go. Anyway, however, in virtual worlds, you can go sit on a beach where the breeze is nice and the temperature doesn't get above 75, or you can go snowmobiling. and the heart of summer. So there we are. Anyway, we have some show and tell because we're in Second Life, and show and tell is easy to do over here because there's so much cool stuff. And a couple, I didn't bring a whole lot this week, but I did bring a few items. Starting over on my stage, yes, my right as viewed from the stage, you'll see a wonderful cupboard. This is called a kitsch cupboard, and this is a creation from Zara. Zara, who's best known for clothing, with an East Indian flavor. And what particularly, this actually was a gotcha item at the Gotcha Arcade last fall. I didn't even see it, but I happened to run across one. And not only is it visually pleasing, it's one of these that always gets my attention because the doors open, the drawers open, and you know what? It's only six land impact, and I really wonder how this is possible when you have 4 and 3 is 7 moving doors and 3 drawers plus the body of the item.
Is it mesh?
Oh, it's mesh. Yes,
Yeah,
it's definitely mesh.
Yeah, so it's probably.
Anyway, yes.
Actually, I'm just thinking if it's modified too, though of course a lot of things aren't. That's a really ideal little cabinet for putting decorating with your own cupboard pictures.
Oh yeah, well, you could put your own stuff in this easily. Yeah, I mean you can't link it, but you can put your stuff in.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so Zara is the creator, and I'm happy to report that the gotcha machine that you can have a shot at this, which is a rare, so it may take a few tries, is up in Zara's store. So you can go look at wonderful clothes and play the gotchas, and maybe you can get one of these too. Now, next to the gotcha is a wonderful little guy. This is the Tomogachi tree dancing by Kalia Firelight, and he tickled me. And I think he turned up at there's a short list of stores that do a 50 Linden Friday sale every week, and one item 50 Lindens, and it's only good on Fridays. And I tend to, and it's it'll only be maybe a dozen stores or something. So I'm kind of in the habit of making a quick round of those, and there will be cool stuff. Anyway, this came with two of them, and they're mesh, obviously. And he dances. he stands for a while, and then he dances a bit. So he's just fun.
Well, what I'm actually looking at is the way when you get him dancing or wobbling, as I would call it, there's a flexi effect around his sort of, if you can call it a neck, that is really well done. So I guess that's a rigged mesh of some sort.
Well, I think actually how these are done is they're set up as a sort of a temp-res. There's a script that swaps out the mesh, and it's the swap out that generates the movement. And if you do it right, and you have a base that doesn't move, then it will give you the visual appearance that it's rotating.
I've got you.
Anyway, I don't know how exactly it's done, but that's sort of my understanding. They're very cool.
He or she, or maybe I should just say it, is very cute indeed. I like that one.
Anyway, the creator is Kalia Firelight, Firelyte. And over on the other side of the stage, there's a store group I've been in for a while called Buddha Beats. And I won't even try to remember the name of the guy whose store it is. And he has interesting household outdoor kinds of things. Has done some great rocks and some other stuff. And you will see this little bush, and this is called a Dreamberries bush. And this is a recently added item to freebies for group members. And so go join the Buddha Beats group and pick up your own. And what's cool about this guy is if Petlove will keep the camera on it for a while, its berry colors gradually change. So it'll run through the entire rainbow, and it doesn't do it fast. It's a fairly slow shift, but if you sit and watch it for a while, it will gradually change to a different color.
Yeah, they're quite fast, really. It's like one of those slow sort of rate and things. Yeah.
Anyway,
very nice. Yeah, glow in the
Yes,
dark
once.
too. They'd make a nice little magic forest item, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
good in the dark too. Now our bear has acquired a Fourth of July hat, a little Independence Day hat, and he'll really show off his hat later. I won't do it right now, but his hat is good for more than just a hat, uh,
Mm.
and you'll see.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, um, and since we're on the subject of Independence Day, yeah, one of the things that there's been a bit of a quite a bit of a stir up in the U.S. in the last few weeks has been the Confederate flag, which several stores have now banned in the wake of um, the recent shootings in
Mm.
the South. And Hamlet kind of threw down a gauntlet about the lab. Should the lab, basically suggesting that the lab should remove Confederate flagged items from the marketplace. The lab has chosen thus far to not respond to this, but his posting on this has generated quite a bit of discussion. And of course, the first thing that pops immediately to mind is, well, they don't ban flags with, German Reich flags with swastikas on them, so why should they ban the Confederate flag?
No,
But
that's actually quite interesting because the in Germany itself, those flags are banned, the swastikas ones, for I suppose obvious reasons. So, although since I was a kid, Hell's Angels wore swastikas and things, but actually in Germany, you'd be arrested on sight if anything like
if
that
you,
showed up.
yeah,
Yeah.
were you? Yeah. Well, one of the things that certainly caught my attention this week that has also kind of played out in the discussion in the secondary column that Hamlet posted is that there is basically a 180-degree difference in how white Southerners view the Confederate flag versus how black Southerners have experienced the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
As far as black Southerners are concerned, like the survey I saw said 80% see it as a racist symbol, and it's complete reverse for white Southerners. So anyway, interesting watching the discussion on that in Hamlet's blog. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it's. I'll just comment on that briefly because I spoke to James, the cameraman, last week off air about this because I think we're both fans of Lynyrd Skynyrd, who are a typical Southern rock band. But ever since I can remember them, they've used the Confederate flag as part of their identity. They're actually on record now as saying that they've been phasing it out for quite a while. But that the thought that something is basically a racist symbol among certain people is worrying. You do want to control it, but on the other hand, I tend to favour the argument that one should make it clear what the Confederate flag is, unless it is not specifically a racist or even symbolic of slavery. I mean, it's part of history. So
Yeah, well, as I say, if you depending upon how you want to treat it
yeah,
as far as sensitivity is concerned within the U.S.,
true. Yeah,
it's clearly being viewed as an issue, and some of that relates to the fact that rednecks and Ku Klux Klanners, yeah, I can't even say it.
Cuckoo clicks.
Yeah, have adopted it widely. So
Yeah.
there's some of that end of the spectrum association with it that definitely comes down heavily on the racist side of things. Anyway,
I may be Canadian, which I am proudly, but on my father's side, the family was from the South and fought in the Civil War on the side of the South. So I have a little bit of ownership of the issue and would point out that what we call the Confederate flag is the Confederate battle flag, the one that was carried into battle. So it represented everything that the Confederacy represented and still does, and that it was the battle flag for the side that lost the war. Now, typically in history, when you lose the war, you don't get to honor yourselves or your flag. You don't get to fly it because you lost the war. And so I honestly don't see this bullshit about it being, Southern charm or whatever the hell it is. It's not. It's the losers, their battle flag, and they shouldn't have the right to write. But that's just me.
Well,
I'll go
actually,
with
I
that's a good point because it refers to what I said about Hitler
Right
being
on,
illegal in
Honor.
Germany,
I
Nazi,
I
Nazi illegal in Germany. So yeah, fair enough.
I also remember hearing somebody say that nobody in America is flying the British flag to honor our British history and the British who lost in the War for Independence.
This is true.
Um,
Very
I,
true.
I hate to say it, but I actually saw a blog today, which was reposted by somebody we actually know. Well, he hasn't been on the show for a long, long while. Which was actually a picture of a very dirty, battle-scarred Union Jack flag, saying something like "Unhappy Independence Day" or "Non-Independence Day." Go enjoy it, you colonist bastards, or something. Which was like the total opposite sentiment for what's going on over there. So I can sort of see
Right.
it, but
Yeah, but it's not the descendants of the British in America who are doing that.
no, it was where it
Even
Yeah, that would be my ancestors. Some of them fought in the American Revolution.
anyway, enough of this. I think we should just
Yeah.
say this is it's a patriotic day for America, and you are probably better off not using the Confederate flag when you've got that lovely stars and stripes that Maria's wearing on her chest to go instead.
Indeed. Well, on to other things. Hamlet actually did fairly well this week. He also had an opportunity to chat a bit with Warren Spector, who is the one who made a comment that he felt that VR was not going to succeed. And in his comments to Hamlet, he started off by saying, if you use any of this, please don't paint me as an anti VR guy. And what he talks about is it's not the challenges of the tech or the hardware or the software that concern him. What the challenges he says the challenges I don't hear being addressed at all or with appropriate seriousness are cultural and social.
Yeah.
Specifically, the big one he sees is the isolating effect of simply wearing a headset. He believes most people will be genuinely frightened of and disoriented by being effectively blind to the outside world for the sake of entertainment. And he goes on to say, even if I'm wrong about this, I think people around VR users, such as friends, spouses, other family members, will be offended by a user's preference for virtual interactions over real ones right there in the room, which is a very interesting point.
I worry about that for myself. I actually read that. I totally agree actually with that because I'm futurology, which is about all the tech future and everything else, is one thing, but futurism really is about social patterns and things. And for decades, people have worried about kids who play games being getting very isolated and introvert with them and not socializing properly. And also, you've got to consider that I know people who just are scared, shitless, quite frankly, of Second Life. First of all, it's a cartoon. The moment they're in there, they suddenly realize they're crowded around by other people and they've got to socialize and they're out there like mad. It scares them. That's the degree of immersion. And I think he has a very good point. Not so much in addressing the people that probably will be scared of this degree of immersion anyway, but possibly the point is the people who won't be scared of it will develop different sort of social patterns that will make them less able to cope with real life. And I think that is the sort of thing when we're promoting the metaverse and VR tech and everything else that, in the back of our minds, we should consider.
There's a big difference too. People who go on for 18 hours straight because they're in love or so immersed in the virtual world that they are a little bit on the extreme edge. But yet,
Yeah.
on the same by the same token, there are people who come in 3-4 hours a day and work or just hang out and then go back to their normal life. It's not that everybody who goes into VR is going to be so immersed that they'll be disassociated from real life.
No,
I
no.
mean, there will be more of a balance than that, I'm sure, and especially as it becomes more integrated. Thank you for listening. I'll hush up now.
No, I think that's a good point. Maria, I know, has often said that, sort of, possibly when it comes to VR tech and stuff, hardcore gamers may adopt an Oculus Rift if they got the money, but, the chances are it's going to be new forms of cinema and things, out of the house experiences that will be special, that will be the first things that kind of adopt the fully immersive tech. And of course, like going to see a movie, when you leave the cinema, you're out in the real world again. It's not, it is
It's like dreaming and
immersion.
waking up too. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Plus,
think we can deal with it.
plus, I think if you replace the word virtual reality with books or television or smartphones,
Yeah.
people have said exactly the same thing about every new communication medium that has come out.
Right,
That we
right.
are hypnotized by the TV, we're losing our social skills. Before that, in
That's
the
right.
50s, there was the princess phones. All our teenagers are sitting in their bedrooms on their phones, not socializing.
Yep.
Of course, they're socializing. They're
On the
socializing on their phones.
phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've got to admit, what's that song goes, television, the drug of the nation. It's a very consumer thing and it's consumption only rather than interactive or traditionally it has been, but it's down to, all these things are tools for us
And
to
it goes
use.
back.
Whether you worship the tool or use the tool is a personal decision. I think
It
if you
goes back
worship it, you
And
have
it's
a
not
problem.
only
Yeah,
a
well,
tool for
I think
us.
Hundreds of years. If you read Don Quixote, that was the whole point of the book. Is that the guy was so into this romantic
Yeah.
night fiction
Uh-huh.
that he lost track of
He
reality
lost
and lost
touch.
his ability to interact with normal people.
You are so
That is
right.
exactly the point of that.
So this is an age-old syndrome, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Yes, that
well, but it is dressed up in different hardware. So and I don't think certainly the business of people walking down the street wearing headphones and listening to their
Wearing a
to their
hoodie
iPods
and wearing a hoodie.
yeah,
Let's talk about
or
isolation.
whatever,
Hello. Yeah.
or you're in a group of folks and you're out to dinner and somebody's uh, mobile phone rings and they answer it. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
one of the cool tricks I've seen come up is people will have will take the device you make a pile of everybody's cell phones in the middle of the table, and the first person who answers who can't stand it and picks up their phone picks up the tab, and it's a good way to get people to turn
Who's
their
doing
phones
that?
off.
Oh my God. That's the first I've heard of
No,
that.
seriously, it's
Thanks
something
for the
somebody came
warning.
up with, and it's well, it's been spread around as a
Uh-huh.
as a way to deal with the
Turn the
constant
phones off.
interruptions of
Yeah.
cell phones
Yeah.
That's a
when you're
good
out
idea.
with
really cute.
when you're out with when you're out with friends, in groups or whatever, is rather than telling everybody shut your phone off, you just
Right.
make a little pile of them and you say first person who picks up a phone picks up the bill.
And that's a perfect example of the fact that we do learn to deal and cope with technology as we go along. We still retain
Yeah,
our
yeah.
needed social interactions and skills, and
Mm.
And I do
not
have to
everybody's.
confess that whenever I live in a big city, I always walk down the street while reading a book and I hear horns honking in all directions. I never know why because I have a book in front of my face. And whenever I go out to eat in a restaurant, I sit there and I read a book. If I go with my daughter, we both sit there reading books. From the outside, we must look like the most horrible antisocial people ever. But we just really like to read.
Fair enough, I think. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so that's for Inspector. All right, just two other items here. First off, released this week official item from the Linden blog, experience tools, which are as the second part of what was promised several years ago. And this part enables creators to put together experiences, whether they're games or puzzles or whatever, that involve multiple scripts where they can have somebody opt in once to cover the entire thing. And that's finally out in public. It's available to all premium members. And apparently each premium member can do one, and I presume there's some kind of a process if you want to do more than one. And the other, let's see, what was the other piece of this that I was going to mention about it? Phooey.
Oh,
My train of thought just derailed
it will come
along
back.
it will come back. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Anyway,
thought I
oh,
was
I
on
know what
mute.
it was. You
Mhm.
do in order to build one of these, you do have to use the latest viewer because the bells and whistles for creating them is only in the official viewer. So that's something that these third party viewers are going to or will be catching up with. But for now, if you're dying to dive into creating that sort of thing or converting something you've already created, you will have to use the official viewer to do that. And my final item, there's been various discussion. We continue to pick up little bits and pieces on Project Sansar, which is Linden Labs' sequel to Second Life. And one of the discussions has been around the subject of the early alpha. And the official position is at this point, they are revealing that this is a quote. At this point, we're not revealing details about who will be invited to the first stages of the alpha. They will be under NDA. What we have said is that the very first external creators invited to Project Samsar will need to be skilled at creating with Maya, and they plan to start with a small, dedicated group of creators that that the lab knows, not and they will not necessarily need to be Second Life creators currently. Who will need to have a good degree of tolerance and patience for the kinds of hiccups and changes that we expect may occur early on in the alpha. And as things progress, we'll grow the alpha to include more creators. So, so there you have it. And I would wager that once they've kind of hit a point, that they probably will open it up to those who are blender skills. So stay tuned. This will be happening over the next 3 to 6 months. So before they get to the early beta, which the current projection is like early next year. So, and that's enough for me for now.
Okay, well, thank you, Tara. While you've been chatting, I've opened up my Second Life feed, which is twitter.com/Melbournes_writer, and I'll be going to scrolling down that slowly, mostly when we're talking with Anna and Pet later. Two interesting things at the top, though. Firstly, we were talking about online magazines, about virtual worlds last week, of course, with Visions, which isn't available on the web. But I came across a new one I've added to my feed at Issue magazine this week. And it's called Showtime magazine, and the June to August issue of that is out now on Issue. Again, you'll have to go to my stream to find the link, or it's on my Tumblr blog embedded as well. But just before we depart, without discussing it any further, there was quite an interesting, though short blog from Second Sighting, or one word, .wordpress.com, during the week, which was actually on the theme of when prejudice infiltrates the virtual world. And since we were talking about the Confederate flag and stuff, it suddenly occurs to me I might as well just butt in with that link before we go any further. But next, we're just going to look at all the rest of the news from the hypergrid and the metaverse in general with Maria. So over to you, Maria.
All right, it's been a busy week. And we already talked about the OnePlus people. So they're a smartphone manufacturer based in China. And they're releasing a new version of their OnePlus phone. It's called OnePlus 2. And it's coming out on July 27th. And they decided to have their grand release in VR, in virtual reality. They've already filmed, I guess, most of the presentations that they're going to have. And in order for their customers to be able to kind of be there for this announcement virtually, they decided to give everybody a free Google Cardboard headset. They fiddled with it a little bit, so they made it a little lighter. They made it so it fits their phone, specifically designed to fit their phones. But of course, it can fit any phone of a similar size. And they also made it from a type of cardboard with a coating on it, so it doesn't absorb sweat and oil, which is a problem I have found to have with my copy of the Google Cardboard. I'm not saying I'm particularly sweaty, but cardboard, is kind of porous. So they distributed 30,000 of them in one day. They ran out. that shows either a huge amount of interest in the one phone smartphone, which I had never heard of before, or it shows that people are really want to try out the Google Cardboard, and paying $5 for shipping is like a huge bargain over paying $7 for it on Amazon with free shipping. So
well, a huge bargain indeed. Yeah, I get the point.
I think it's the free,
It is,
really
isn't it?
it makes it feel like really low risk. Now the $7 one on Amazon is the cheapest version they have. Typically these things run between $10 and $20 for a cardboard case, and then for $15 to $100 you can buy a much nicer plastic case. And I have updated my list of all the all the places where you can buy the latest version of it. Make sure if you buy one, you get the latest version. The latest version has a button on the top instead of a magnet on the side. Google discovered that the magnet on the side didn't work with every phone, so they replaced it with a button on top. They've also made it a little bigger to hold the newer, bigger phones. Made a couple of the minor cosmetic changes to make it fold easier. And they've also updated all their SDKs and all the Google apps and everything else like that. So you really want to have the latest version. If you're buying one from scratch, the difference in price is not that significant. And it is really cool. It works with both iPhones and Androids. And it is such a cool thing to do for watching 3D movies or for watching cute little 3D apps. I really love it. It's a great way to show people what virtual reality is like, because you can carry it with you. You don't care if it breaks because it only costs $5. Unlike the Oculus Rift, which requires a $1,500 rig, and it's really hard to take with you anywhere.
Bit of a difference. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So moving on to other news. There's now 2 petitions up. People are wanting to keep the Second Life exchanges running. There's an English language petition and there's a German language petition. I'll be posting an article about that on Hypergood Business tonight. They have already over 1,000 signatures, and some of the things that people are saying is that their payment methods are not accepted by Linden Exchange. They like the support that they get from the third-party exchanges. They like the exchange rates, because of the currency exchange rates can make it really expensive to buy Linden currency. And quite a few people said that if they can't buy the Lindens on a third-party exchange, they won't be able to buy Lindens, and they will have to close down their Second Life land or businesses.
Oh, yes, Linda's might stir at that one.
Last time this happened in 2013, there were similar petitions, and Linden Lab reversed its position, and they let these exchanges keep functioning. And there's a misapprehension that these exchanges are competing with Second Life. They are not. They are buying all their Lindens on the official Linden exchange. They're not allowed to buy back Lindens from customers. They are not competing with Second Life in any way. They're basically providing free support in local language payments to Second Life. I cannot at all see what Second Life loses from having these exchanges, and considering how much it gains from the exchanges. We've talked about this before, and I'm still shocked. So go to hyperbusiness.com. It'll be the lead story tonight, and there'll be links to both of the petitions there.
Right.
Okay. Now I've spoken about meshes before a few times, and my failures at doing anything in Blender with mesh. but I may have mentioned that thanks to Serene Jewel, who runs a Blender class in Kitely every week, that I was able to get a mesh, a Damien Fate mesh into Blender, take off the old rigging, edit it, put on new rigging, and export it to OpenSim and put it on. And I have written down all the steps and posted it in a how-to. There's a whole bunch of dinky little steps you have to make that are totally not intuitive, that make zero sense to any human being at all, and you have to do them in that order, or otherwise it fails. And I have.
You have come such a long way, Maria. I'm so proud of you. Honestly, that's awesome. I remember when, sitting down was like, what? So
I
that's
am
awesome.
just
Congrats.
really bullheaded. Everyone's telling me, no, crawl before you walk. Take some, I'm like, no, I want to make this skirt longer. I don't care what I have to go through. I just want this
What?
skirt longer. And I made that skirt longer.
What you have missed, Pet, and Donna for that matter, is the fact that on several of our shows recently, we've devoted about an hour and a half to our kind of introduction to mesh sessions, completely by accident, because Tara's been taking Blender classes. And Maria's been guided through.
That's excellent.
this.
That's really
and we've had guests who make mesh and all sorts of things. I think this program is becoming quite a mesh.
Very good. It's a worthy subject.
All right. So
I'll try not to make a mesh of today anyway.
Yeah.
And the clothes I'm wearing today, I couldn't find a flag shirt on the Second Life marketplace. I made this one. I imported the Damien Fate mesh into Second Life.
High
put a
five.
I imported these pants and colored them navy blue. My outfit is handmade.
That's wonderful. That's more than I've done. I've played around with
good for
putting
you.
textures on system clothes, but I haven't yet to touch a mesh machine or done anything with mesh. So good for you. That's
It's
awesome.
Doing textures on mesh, that if you buy kits that are for Second Life, that are full perms, that you can make stuff with, it's pretty straightforward if you're reasonably comfortable with Photoshop or whatever.
I just slapped the texture on it. That's all I did.
Well, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
It worked.
See?
I adjusted the proportions. I moved it up and down, and it worked.
Oh yeah. But
you are pleased with yourself.
And another mountain climbed.
Yes, and I still haven't had to learn how to texture in Blender, which apparently is a nightmare.
Nice, yeah, right on. Yeah.
I have not either, as far as texturing in Blender or the I did watch one UV unfolding demo that I need to go back and watch again, because the guy who was doing it, he covered all the steps, but he covered it so fast it was kind of like, wait a minute, I need to slow this down to about 15 RPM and stop it every 10 seconds and actually do the step in order to get
the best Blender classes were at Ditko University in Second Life. I don't know if they're still open, but they may still have some really, really fantastic instructors and classes. DITKO. Blender can be tough, yeah.
There's a good basic intro to Blender 3-session class that they're doing at Builder's Brewery that I sat through and I would recommend for sure, because it's specific. It's for two reasons. One, it assumes you have never even opened the software before, and two, it's focused on Second Life. Focused on Second Life kind of stuff. So it's not going to bog you down in a bunch of other things you can do.
That's good, yeah.
Don't have anything to do with creating mesh objects to import
anywhere
into
else. Yeah. Cool.
All right. So the other thing that I've been technically struggling with is I've been wanting to take the Control Alt viewer for OpenSim and Second Life that works with Oculus Rift and send it to my iPhone screen.
Might be asking a lot.
This has been a dream of mine, and I've heard of people doing it with the Android. So
Oh.
so I thought, okay, well, I finally succeeded in doing it. The story is up. Kind of. Okay, so what you could do is there's a bunch of apps out there that will turn your iPhone into an external monitor for your PC. It's like a second monitor.
Mm.
And you can duplicate your monitor on the iPhone.
So you have
So,
to stay home when you do this?
well, yeah, you have to sit next.
Okay.
Yeah, that must come with a server software that you put on your PC, and it transmits
Next week,
specifically.
next week you'll be able to go anywhere. I
Well, you
guarantee
know
it.
how well the people who sit who use the Oculus have to sit next to the PC. So this is the same thing. So instead
Okay.
of having an Oculus, I would have the smartphone headset. And what it does is it works over Wi-Fi and it mirrors the screen. So obviously the lag is astronomical. So that's the first problem, but that will resolve over time as I upgrade my Wi-Fi and the computers get faster and smartphones get faster. But the other problem is that it's so I can see the 3D picture, but when I move my head, that my computer doesn't know that the iPhone has moved.
Yeah, lagging. Yeah.
And there's a program that will send the signal back, but it's only for the Android.
Mm.
How
So
rude.
right now, I know. So right now, you can put on your iPhone and use your mouse or the arrows to walk around inside your OpenSim or Second Life build. But if you turn your head, it doesn't do anything. It's just like a 3D monitor in front of your face. It's in 3D, so that's something, and it is very immersive, but it's not as good as being able to
Did you
turn your
try
head.
SL Go?
Just
How did you like SL Go? Did you ever see that
uh,
working? It,
well, I haven't used SL Go, but I have
mm,
used the new one, the Canopy, Bright Canopy.
Do you like it?
But it's great. I love it. It's super fast. Nice
Mm-hmm.
job. And I could do the same thing with it. I can throw that to my iPhone too. Eventually, they'll have an iPhone and an Android app. They don't have one right now. But I can throw it from my desktop to my iPhone. But again, it's the same thing. The signal
Mm.
going back
Sure.
on the Android. There's an app to get the signal back on the iPhone. Not yet. So I'm hoping that will happen, or I will just have to buy an Android phone.
A fate
Okay.
worse than death.
Now
I know.
I hate to say this, but I'm looking at the time here as well, and
Okay. All right.
we're coming up to the hour, so I'm quite
Let's
anxious to
move.
bring
Let's move quickly.
honouring. Yes.
Speaking of Android phones, if you have an Android phone, your YouTube app on the Android phone now has VR support.
Oh yeah.
You can drop your Android and see the 360 videos that YouTube has in virtual reality. On the iPhone, not so much. There's still 360. You hold it in front of you, you move the phone, and you're looking in different directions inside the video, but it's not the side by side stereoscopic view yet. It's coming. It's not there yet. Um, what else? Other hardware news: the Fove has ended its Kickstarter with $480,000. They've also released a new design, and uh, they had a 700,000 stretch goal to include uh, the spatial positioning for the Lighthouse system from Valve. They had another investment from Samsung that put them over the top, and they will be adding that in. Um, in some bad news, the HoloLens from Microsoft was supposed to be going up to the space station, and the SpaceX rocket exploded. So nobody was hurt, but it does set that back for a few months at least.
I hope it wasn't due to Microsoft software.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was uncalled for, but
Yes. And in more hardware news, there's a new tennis ball size 360-degree camera that's being on Kickstarter. Now, 3D cameras normally cost thousands of dollars. This one's going to be cheaper and smaller and very convenient. And in their promo materials, they have it attached to a dog. so so as the dog goes around, it's filming everything around it in 360 degrees virtual reality. so then you can be that dog.
Can you actually play a game of tennis with it between two of you and see what comes out of the camera?
Oh,
Sorry.
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking of playing tennis, there's a football app that I saw where not football, sorry, soccer.
That's what we call football. So.
That's filmed from the standpoint. It's a Nike video on YouTube. It's filmed from the standpoint of one of the players on the field, and it's apparently some crazy shot that he made or something. And it's really cool. Now on my iPhone, I had to actually hold the iPhone, extended in my arms and move it, but it's still you had his point of view. And if you turn your head to the far right at the 33-second mark, you got to see a naked streaker in the field. So
I bet
a
they
little,
rigged that one. It would be too
little
much of a coincidence for that not to have been rigged and
then
slipped in.
I
Easter
had
egg.
3 big applications of virtual reality feature stories that came in on the same week about 2 travel agencies using virtual reality to so their prospective customers can see, like, all the insides of the hotel rooms and the jets and all the other stuff. And one in which another one for real estate, where this company Matterhorn got a huge investment plus a deal with Zillow. They're getting over 1 million views a month. And what they do is they have 360 videos and virtual reality tours of real estate properties on their website and on apps. And that's really cool. And they also sell a camera to do this kind of filming and software, cloud-based software that will stitch it together into a 3D environment. And that costs like thousands of dollars. And they're working on a cheap one that's going to be based out of your smartphone, where instead of having to have a huge camera, you can just point your smartphone in different directions and film in 3D.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
And the last one I have for you, I swear, is football coaches, American football coaches, using virtual reality for training their quarterbacks so they can replay taped games in virtual reality or play simulated games in virtual reality. And a whole bunch of big football teams are jumping on board this. So it's pretty exciting. The age of virtual reality is coming on us. Yep.
When you consider how long they've been training soldiers and things like in battlefield combats virtually, I mean, it's not surprising. In a way, it's surprising the sports industry has only really just waking up to this. But yeah, inevitable. The world is changing indeed. Okay, well let's move on a little bit. As you can see, folks, I told at the beginning we're in Second Life this week, and we're joined by one of our regular guests, Anna McMillan, who's blog I always call Another Day, Another Destination, but it goes far beyond that. And I think we probably have got a lot to catch up on because Anna couldn't be with us last month. Although I'm hoping she'll be here every first Saturday when we do, if she can make it, which she says she will, every time we do our Second Live shows, as it were. But Anna, it has been... It's been busy, hasn't it? I mean, obviously we've had the Second Life birthday celebrations, which on the art side is pretty massive. There's been a lot going on with the LEA, of which Linda Endowment of the Arts, with which you're also involved, and plus there are a load of destinations. And in fact, before we start, just this morning, I found a blog on SL Governor Marley. .com on Crestweek Village in Second Life, where you won't stop believing. But one that I didn't even know of, and it came up this morning, really on the spot. I don't know whether you know this one, Honor, but SL Places. It's a blog called slgenealogygroup.com. SLGENEALOGY GROUB, all one word.com. And this place they've dug up is called the New World 18th Century Boston Harbor. I think they got that on the right day, didn't they? I don't know. Do you know that one, Anna?
I don't know that one. I'll have to
Well,
go look at it.
yeah, that the blog today. I mean, all I did was read it, and it's mostly pictures, which of course is great fun because I was ogling at the pictures. But it seemed just totally appropriate for today. So
Yeah.
a nice one from I'm not going to spell SL genealogy or whatever it is again. Just SL Places is the short name. So yeah, but anyway, Honor, tell us about your finds and roundups of.
I've got a couple of things for you. I don't have a gazillion things for you because I've been mostly offline. But there's a couple of things I think people should know about. And I want to talk about a blog that I think people should follow. The first I want to talk about, if any of you are familiar with Metalis, which is the sim that is run by Ooks Hacks and Rami Nair. And Rami and Ooks are artists. And Rami is the artist who did Paper Maquis a number of years ago, which was my first experience with immersive art in Second Life. And was the first time I realized what was possible, but I mean, I squealed like a 13-year-old girl, I swear to God, when I first found Paper Maquis and experienced it. So Rami Nair is somebody I've followed very closely over the years, and I really is somebody we want to cling to, but it's somebody I think people should go visit. She does very different things, but they use the sim as an opportunity to curate art from other artists. And so it's their 5th anniversary. I think it's the 5th anniversary of Metalis, which is the name of their sim. All you have to do is type METALES into the map. You'll find it.
I think it probably doesn't matter on search, but isn't the second part of that in all capitals as well? It's a funny way they just,
It doesn't matter in the map, though. In any case, so what they did was introduce me to a different concept in terms of art. There is something that certainly in some parts of Europe is known called Distrito Distinto, and my accent is wrong, but in English, different district. So if you're familiar with progressive dinners, anybody who's familiar with a progressive dinner, where you go from house to house for different courses of a dinner. So a group of you will all go from house to house, and each house will host a different part of the dinner. So imagine that sort of traveling around for an art exhibit. And so all of the art involves interiors, and each interior is designed based on inspiration from a song. And the songs are all different depending on which interior you're at. So the idea is you move from room to room to room, but it could be like across the city or in another building or whatever. So this moving concept of an art exhibit, where you're the one moving, not the art exhibit, you are the one moving, has been imported into Metalis as part of their anniversary. And 9 artists are exhibiting. Everybody from Bruno to Sika Ghost, Rami Nair herself, Eupalinos Ugajin, and they've each chosen a different song. Maya Paris, which if anybody knows her, this will not come as a surprise, chose the song "Oh Bondage Up Yours" by X-Ray Specs.
So,
and then exactly, you know Maya. Then So
Honor, don't upset Mal, please.
And so so her design is based on inspiration from that particular song. So I strongly recommend it. It's funny. There's wit. There's humor. There's beautiful graphics. They're interactive. You click on things and have strange things happen, and it's a fabulous experience. So just go to Metalis and enjoy Distrito and Distinto. That's one thing. Another is that I know we all, for some reason, have a sense of ownership in sims that we love, the regions and designs that we love. And oh my God, Second Life is dying every time a sim that we love disappears for whatever reason, even if the artist has gone on to do something else. Oh my God. Anyway,
and keeps
last
coming
year,
back. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
and does something different.
Thanks.
There was a sim called Humanoid, which was around for a number of years. Everybody loved. it was hosted on a region that was owned by a very beloved Inworld figure, Dirk Talamaska, who died last year. And so when he died, Humanoid lost its home and it closed. Well, if you want to revisit Humanoid, or if for some reason you never actually got to Humanoid, the owner and creator has recreated it on Leia 6, and it will be there for a couple of months. So if you remember Humanoid and you landed and there were doors and they took you to magical different places, the doors are all there. The beautiful, sea level is still there, and it's a gorgeous rebirth of Humanoid. So go to Leia 6 to visit Humanoid.
Wonderful.
And
I'm pretty sure Dirk took me round that one, so it kept on surprising me, so sending me here, there, and everywhere. So if it's the same what I remember, I definitely.
Oh, it is.
To that.
I mean, she's updated it a bit because there's some mesh has been introduced, and she's put a dome over it because, of course, Dirk's sim was out in the middle of the ocean, and this one has other sims nearby. But so she put a dome over it so you're not distracted by what's going on next to it. Yeah. But Leia 6, and the intent, I think, it may not be the only thing that gets done on Leia 6, but this may happen again where other sims that people have loved are brought back and recreated to be shared with people again. The other thing I wanted to mention, sorry.
No, I was saying that's wonderful because, often, these things are very transient, and often the only record we have of these things is videos and things like that, which of course aren't, you can enjoy them, but you can't immerse yourself the same way. So it's great that, bringing back long lost loves, so to speak. Great idea.
I mean, it doesn't prevent people from going on and creating new things, but just knowing that stuff can sit in the inventory and be unpacked again, which is sort of cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, because I'm a little obsessive and compulsive about finding new places on the grid, only because I know there's a lot going on that I will never see. I mean, there's no way I can keep up with what goes on out there. And I always feel sad that people have probably built really extraordinary things that nobody's seen, and they may have gone and disappeared in the meantime just because nobody knew about them or nobody saw them and didn't get to experience them. Yeah. More importantly, I didn't get to experience them.
Yes,
Can I just say, okay, because it is about me.
But it's about the networking too. I mean, a lot of people aren't actually very good at letting everybody know that they've done something to come to. And,
now, part of the barrier to finding out what's going on is cultural and language. Okay. One of the things that I think most of us who do any exploration know is that there are a lot of Japanese residents who do magical things. But we don't have, for us, Western, especially if we're Western English speaking nomads, that's great. But, if we don't have some way into the culture or some way into some bulletin board, something that tells us what's going on out there, we can't find it. So I found this beautiful blog. And it's a blog by a woman named Yana, Y-A-N-A. And you can find it at yana.slmame.com. Okay. And what's more important, she not only goes and visits lots of things, but she'll go to the birthday and she'll go to other things that you may have heard of. But she has the most brilliant blog roll, which is all in kanji. So it's sort of like, if you like hitting things just to see what happens,
yes,
you click on something in her blog roll because you have no idea where you're going.
What language is kanji? Where is that from?
Kanji is the script in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Kanji is the character script that's used in Japanese.
Okay.
So
Google Translate works on it if you have it set up in your browser.
Yeah, but that's
not always. But that always great.
Why take all the mystery out of it? I mean, just click on some kanji, and off you go to another blog.
I have, when I go through all the video feeds every day from YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, all sorts of places really, and I publish anything that's moderately acceptable as an embed code on my Tumblr blog.
Mhm.
And, I will see thumbnails of things with interfaces showing or people just dancing, and they pass on those, thank you. But I do get a lot of Japanese and foreign language ones. And sometimes,
Mhm.
I think I can't translate that. I don't know what it is, but I can't resist clicking on it to find out. And
Yeah.
sometimes I come across amazing films of destinations and just bizarre things or art exhibits that I just post on the blog now. It doesn't matter that they're in a foreign language because
See, it's all about us.
the pictures tell the story. It's great.
So one of the magical things about she calls her blog roll favorites, okay? And I found a couple of places recently that I mean, one of them was I knew that the build that was Venice had moved to Umix a couple of years ago or a
Oh
year or
yeah,
so ago. Well, there are multiple Umix islands and
yeah. They
cities, and I hadn't explored any of the others, and I did that the other day. That was fun. But more importantly, when you click through one of these favorites and go wind up at another Japanese blog, look for their blog roll,
yeah.
okay? And then click through from there to find some more of them. But I strongly recommend you start with Yana's. So yana.slmame.com, and she does some beautiful photos, and she does some great she goes to some great places, and then explore her blog roll, because it's a wonderful way into a culture that, if you're as out of it as I appear to be, um, you get exposed to them, and they all want visitors, they all want to see them, and it's more than the Hakamura and the typical ones we might know, who have become fairly well known in the rest of the cultures in Second Life. And it's a great way to expand your horizons. So that's all I have for you today.
It's always a good idea to click on interesting links as well, isn't it? Because, I get all my stuff coming through Feedly, but of course it's the same aggregation and the same ones I follow every time. And, the important thing is to just keep an eye open for links and then say, oh, here's a completely new blog, subscribe quick. But there's a hell of a lot more out there than people can ever guess, or even, people who go all over the place like me still only find a fraction of it sometimes. So, yeah, it's definite to do that. Umix are also another very they publish a lot. I think they just call themselves Umix Land on YouTube, but they publish a lot of
They do.
destination videos. And it's just a piece of music with some nice footage of nice places, and they frequently have the rear end of this cute little girl walking around whatever the place is, but it doesn't it doesn't matter because if the environment they're walking through is good, it's just good to look at, and good music usually too. So, well, that's great. Did you get a chance to go to the birthday honor? The birthday
This is the first
celebrations,
year I did not make it to the birthday.
and you're
Um,
not the only one actually.
I I literally was offline for most of the past few weeks, so I missed the birthday, and it's killing me. So thanks for rubbing it in.
It was a pretty
you
one. It was a good birthday.
It was very pretty. I mean,
Hmm.
I was there for the first few days, actually trying to do a bit of filming or hoping I might, and the lag I found, I don't know,
I
maybe my
got
computer.
4 spots. I had such dreams. I was just going to live stream through it like an hour or 2 hours a day, just, you
Yeah.
know, and that week was just so blown out of the water. Anyway, pardon me.
It's it's a shame. I mean, I've obviously seen a lot of videos and stuff like that. There's actually one guy. Unfortunately, I didn't put them in my stream because they drag a bit. But some machinima, wants a better word, maker I'd never heard of, actually seems to have gone round every single region in the birthday build, traveling on the pod, and he's literally published about a 90-minute one for each region, his pod journey. Unfortunately, I don't think there was much music or anything to, accompany the footage, but there's a record out there if you search hard enough. But certainly did look to me like there was some amazing builds. And that birthday cake this year, I believe, was just utterly gigantic. I never saw that up
That was
close.
so great at midnight. I love taking pictures of that at midnight. It was just gorgeous. Mikati. Yeah.
Well,
Mikati Slade.
mm, as I mentioned earlier, there was a bit of a dearth of live or immediate recordings of the events that went on the first week there, but they are actually turning up slowly and surely. Petlove mentioned earlier that she did all the Meet the Lindens talks, which have, I think, all but one of the talks I've now seen come out on
Which
Second
one?
Life's YouTube.
Which one's not out yet?
I can't quite remember. I can't
There was
remember.
Patchen. hmm
Ebby, Patch, Danger. Yeah, I
Danger and
forget.
Troy. There was Oz. He came out.
Yeah,
Oz, Ebby, Danger and Troy, um, Ziola and Pete, and
yeah.
the
So
first Tuesday, the people that were there on Tuesday, I think. Anyway, okay. Sorry.
I counted them anyway, and there seemed to
hmm
be one missing. So go figure.
It was nice. They were
Um,
really nice, very nice people. Anyway,
Tara Lynn Gravois also hosted Meet the Artist session, which is one of the ones I normally filmed, and she never got back to me, and I was having a big problem getting hold of the bureaucracy at the birthday bill to try and get check permissions
I've
and stuff
heard there's
like
some
that. Anyway,
waiting to do there.
there was, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I finally got fed up. I thought if I
it's
can't just
hard. Yeah, so many
go,
people, so
if I
busy.
can't just go in and
I
film,
know.
but apparently some people did, and somebody I've already forgotten the name, but I'm putting them on my blog. Somebody actually does appear to have filmed all Tara Lynn's sessions and decent camera work, decent filming job too. I haven't seen yet anything on Meet the Designer or Meet the Communities, although Meet the Non-Profits were all filmed too. I think probably Joyce filmed them, but they are those kind where they've got their interface showing and the camera's pretty stationary. So, but they make
Sometimes
interesting.
that's
They make it.
okay.
It is.
Sometimes, yeah.
I cheat. I download them and then extract the MP3 soundtrack and treat them as a podcast.
Wow,
'Cause,
come
you know,
on. Just
it's
because
like
you don't like it,
it's
some
it's
people don't
it's
mind.
it's like this. It's like this show, really. I mean, if people want, they can
Yeah.
just play it back in the background without watching our silly avatars.
Well, there's not that much to look at for 2 or 3 hours. You've seen it all by then.
Indeed, indeed. So,
Anyway,
Anu,
yeah.
Anu, you've been pretty offline, you say. So, you cover those destinations, and anything else at the LEA that we should?
Yeah, we just
Oh,
closed. We just closed the last round on June 30th.
yeah.
So as of July 1st, there are 20 new artist in residence grants beginning. So they're going great. Leia 1, if you haven't been to Leia 1, have we talked about Leia 1? Have we heard about this on Leia 1? Anybody? Um,
I only know about two.
Bryn, okay, Brino
Oh
and
yeah.
right.
Oh my
There
God.
is an exhibit right now, and I'm quickly looking through my blog. Um, Berlin. There is an exhibit right now at the Jewish Museum at Berlin called Obedience, and it's the story of. It's based on the story of Abraham, the man that God said, go kill your son just to prove you love me. And we know about dysfunctional relationships in the world, but anyway. So as part of this exhibit in Berlin, and Saskia Bodica and Peter Greenaway are the ones in charge of the exhibit in Berlin. You know Saskia Bodica as Rose Borchowski
Oh,
in
right. Yes,
Second Light,
of course. Yeah.
okay? And Peter Greenaway is the man who directed the man, the woman. Oh God, what's the name of that movie?
Cook the feed the wife is love.
Thank you.
The
Thank
pillow,
you.
the pillow book, and there's another one you did. I really love.
So you know these people. So as part of the exhibit, there is a virtual component, which is the Second Life component, and Bryn was in charge of building that in on the grid, and she's using Leia 1, and you really have to see it. So she has recreated the story of Abraham on Leia 1, and it's the first time I couldn't take a picture of part of an exhibit, partly because it was just so disturbing to look at, but there was no way I was going to publish it. because there was no way I was going to publish it. It's extremely powerful. It's very moving. There are, as the last time we did a mixed reality with Rose and Bryn and a real world museum, which was in Moscow at the time.
Yeah.
There are some avatars wandering around the exhibit, which are being controlled by visitors to the museum in Berlin. And you'll know who they are when you see them. Yeah. But so you really need to go see Leia 1. You need to go see Obedience. Pardon me.
That was it. We never mentioned the name, Obedience. That was it.
No, I did. I said Obedience.
Oh.
I said it's called Obedience.
Right.
Yeah, the dysfunctional whole thing. Yeah, I did. I called it, it's obedience. And it's not obedience just in the Christian culture, but it's obedience in the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic theologies. They all have Abraham. Being forced
God made
to
them do a lot of very
prove
strange
himself.
things.
Didn't he?
He
Anyway,
really did.
one of the interesting things they did for the exhibit in the Berlin Museum, and this started a number of months ago before it opened, and a few of us blogged and retweeted this, but they asked for young people around the world to create a video saying, "I am Isaac," or Ishmael, depending on which version you prefer. And so when you walk into the Berlin Museum, there are these video clips of young people from around the world saying, "I am Isaac," or "I am Ishmael," which is really very cool. So it became a participative exhibit, both from a virtual and a real world point of view.
So how much of the real world exhibit comes into the virtual and vice versa? Is it totally integrated, or
No, you don't see the real world exhibit from Leia 1. They can visit our version, our component from the real world.
From the real one, yeah.
Yeah, but you honestly, as much as it might be nice for everybody to go to Berlin and see it, you won't miss it when you see what you see on Leia 1.
Right.
So I strongly recommend. There's a point at which I'm looking up a name because this is So Joe Ellesmere has done some scripting, and I'm looking for the part what we can call that she did the scripting of. But apparently, as part of the story in the Book of Revelations, there's 24 elders who like to sit back and sort of pass judgment on things. So when you get to, I take the story very seriously. Okay?
Yeah, so it's just the way you said it.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really interesting, the version that you see when you go to this exhibit, because what she's done is she's scripted 24 elders. So when you get to a certain stage in the exhibit, and Bryn has brought it into modern times. So it takes place in what in England might be called a council estate, or here in North America, it's sort of not quite a tenement apartment building, but pretty close. Okay, sort of run down, and you climb the stairs and you go through these rooms, and you get to a room, and there's a god with his attendants on this dais. And there are 24 beings sitting in what look like waiting room chairs, just sort of hanging around. And there's sort of one's reading and another one's sort of, checking his phone and various other things. And they're all
cool.
Oh, you have to get up there. They're all scripted and they're magic. And if you stand there, I stood there with a bunch of artists on opening day with our jaws sort of dropped to the ground watching these things. And every now and then one of them will get up and walk over to God and make his obeisance, right? And then turn around and come back and go back to reading his book or doing whatever he was doing. And these are the 24 elders from the Book of Revelations. And the scripting is just impeccable. It's just magic.
Nice.
So you need to go see this as an immersive art experience, as a story that's being told, but also if you can stand back objectively and look at it, not only is the art itself exquisite, but the scripting that's been done and various portions of it is just, if you were here 8 years ago, this will just blow your mind that
First
we can
class.
do this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So go to Leia 1.
Okay, I'd read a lot about that, and I must say I sort of took it in, but I wasn't jumping up and down about the idea of going there, mostly because of my feelings about religion. But it's I think you convinced me. It's worthy of a
Well, as you can
worthy of
tell,
a
like I
look.
said, I take religion very seriously, but more importantly, this is really an extraordinary piece of art
Yeah,
that you have to go see.
and yeah, great. Bruno really churns them out too. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. Churning out. I mean, prolific. Some sort of highly involved stuff she comes up with. So yeah, great. Okay, back to now I pardon me down in Western Australia, where the University of Western Australia is, it's probably breakfast time. I was trying to get hold of JJ Sifanwi earlier because I noticed they have announced a yes and no new competition, which is their sci-fi things. Do you know anything about that, Anna?
I wish I did, and I don't.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I believe it's the machinima type contest. Apparently, it goes beyond. It's not a regular UWA thing. It goes a bit beyond this. Apparently, you submit on this sci-fi theme to the University of Western Australia, just as you would with their previous machinima things, but then the machinima entries are actually put into a greater competition, and apparently UWA will be paying the entry cost for the machinima entries. In other words, you submit to UWA, then they put them in and pay for them to be submitted to a greater contest. I gather that's the general idea.
That sounds about right. I didn't read the entire notice, but it's
they do a sci-fi every year.
It's a sci-fi competition, and it's one they've done. They've been involved in before, and that's correct. That UWA is picking up the entry fees, and the deadline that I saw was the end of August, and I'm not sure if that's the deadline for just getting your application in, because my recollection is there's some theme kinds of things that get assigned after you've applied for your actual production.
Nicole,
if it's like previous year.
I tried to do one of those a couple years ago, and she said, you had to be there, but we gave it a good shot.
It sounds a bit like
they do have rules. They do have rules.
I'm reminded of the sort of 24-hour machinima contest, where sort of you don't know what the line is and the prop is and everything else like that.
The crack of,
So the whip goes, and then you've got 48 hours to get the whole damn production.
Well, this isn't like 48 hours where it's stay up all night idiocy. But they're definitely, that's my recollection of how these work. So
I know
anybody who does machinima who's interested in a competition, by all means check out University of Western Australia site where you'll find the information.
And you can win some big money there too, can't you? I think there were some hefty prizes in the past. Thousands of dollars.
I don't know. I mean, the University of Western Australia prize pool tends to be pretty significant, and it's for their own. So
sure.
For the greater competition
Very
that they've
generous.
could be even more. So an investment, because if you win, you'll be rich.
Oh, it won't hurt.
Maybe.
It's so supportive of the arts. It's really a wonderful thing to see in the virtual world.
Very good experience anyway, because UWA really have a reputation there, and it's got to be the one machinima thing competition in Second Life that just everybody wants to get into. So.
Okay. Well, I just looked up what was sent out on one of the groups. The submissions are on the main Sci-Fi Film Festival website, and the hard closing date is 29th of August, and uwansl.blogspot.com .au will get you the details.
We need to learn how to take these URLs and put them as a lower third. All you have to do is cut and paste in the studio and put it in lower third.
Yeah,
That means that
I
means
think
somebody in the
it's
studio.
time. Yeah.
it
Well,
needs another
Tara,
person to do it. But on the other hand, you can turn on Google transcripts when you replay it.
oh, that's cool. Okay.
But I don't know I don't know how accurate those
Yeah, it's
all
gonna come out like you'll wind up God knows where.
like yeah, it's like Google Translate.
You
It's
wind up in my
a
rabbit's
very
cage
useful.
with her.
It's a very useful tool, but sometimes the actual translate isn't quite what you it's meant to be. Okay, I'm just looking at a few other of the Second Life blogs here. Another blog this morning, in fact, or yesterday, from Spanky Mouliez at WordPress.com. SPANKIMOU a return to timeless memories. Are you familiar with that, or do you remember timeless memories, Anna?
Oh yes, that's
That's
one
a
of the
trick
great
question.
sims.
Yeah,
No, Timeless Memories is a very cool sim.
well, it's back, or it's being revisited in that blog as we speak. So, I love this post of yours. I don't know if it's the last one or the one before, but only you, Anna, could come up with a blog post entitled "My Second Life Inadequacies Are Reflected in Real Life."
Only who would have thought I would write a blog post about Second Life, which made me think about a Grimm's fairy tale I read when I was a child called Seven at One Blow, which I'm pretty sure most people have no idea what that story is about.
I know
I
it.
had to look up
I
Little Red
remember it.
Huh? The guy who
I-
kills 7 flies and
Yeah,
then
I
winds up
remember
marrying
it.
the princess because everybody thinks he killed 7 people. So I'm talking about how I have to deal with, oh my God. One of the things people who know me know, right, apart from the fact that I'm banned from driving anything ever, anywhere in the metaverse.
Oh, metaverse.
Oh, in the metaverse. I mean,
So
I
it's
went to
contagious.
High
You caught
Fidelity,
it
and
from
they,
Safia,
I
or
went,
Safia caught
I
it
went
from
into
you?
High Fidelity, and they said, "You're not allowed to drive, are you?" And I said, "No, I'm not.
I can't even walk up the stairs here sometimes, let alone
I can't
drive a
So,
vehicle.
but the other thing is that I don't go to first-person shooters. I don't go to
Yeah.
weapons-enabled sims, and the reason is, it's part. Okay, I would like to say it's because I'm Canadian, and I'm not inclined to violence, and I don't want to try and shoot somebody and everything else. And there is part of it that probably is true. However, the real reason is that I die within 13 seconds of landing
Yeah.
anywhere
It's no
on
fun
any
for
of these
you.
places.
It's all about
It's
you.
not.
So there
I
it is.
spent exactly. So
It's
I'll
like-
be trying to figure out a
Your
HUD or what
experience.
the hell this thing is or whatever, and there's a giant target on my back, and I get killed.
They
It's
usually
like
have
me
safe
with
zones.
all those old CD-ROM video games and things I got, and I never got past the first scene. I'm down for the count before
I was
I start. Why
appalled.
bother?
Oh, they're appalling.
This is why I never did
anyway.
World of Warcraft. I'd walk out of the
Oh,
bar.
well, that's different.
Dad. So now the reason this is relevant and the 7 flies is relevant is that, again, we were talking about the weather and how ridiculous this is in a rainforest because we're in the high 90s for like ever. And unfortunately, there is a part of the ecosystem and the food chain which makes no sense to me whatsoever, which is the mosquito. And mosquito
Yes.
thinks I am like, sugar.
Delicious.
Just love me.
Please.
So I decided this year I can, I'll deal with the heat, I'll deal with the animals, I'll deal with putting now 4 households into this one house. I'll deal with all of these things. I'm not going to deal with mosquitoes. So I went out and bought myself a weapon. And my weapon looks like a badminton racket with metallic webbing.
You're going to
Okay.
break every dish in your kitchen.
No. It's electric. It's electrified.
Ooh, I
Oh,
like that.
you got a zapper.
Now, yes, I got a zapper. So when I was younger, much younger, I used to be really good at badminton. I don't mean the lob it gently over the net badminton. I mean the overhead slam with the last second twist of your wrist to send it screaming into the far corner ninja badminton. Okay? So I had this image of myself walking through clouds of mosquitoes and just swatting and zapping
Neo.
and,
Eating all
achieving
those
Terminator
Smiths.
status in destruction of this annoying, useless.
I like the
piece of
image.
crap. Okay? It turns out it doesn't work that way. because if you swish your racket back and forth, they just fly away. They go,
Yes,
oh,
I know. That's it.
Yeah.
well, shit.
It's not
So what you have to
aerodynamically
do,
appropriate.
well, you know what happens when a mosquito comes near you? You wave your hand, right? It's the same thing. They go away. So what you have to do is sneak up on them. Well, you sneak up on something that's a quarter of an inch long, has wings and flies through the air, and it's a really dull color. So I can't even see them. How are you supposed to sneak up on them? And
Except
I
the
only know
ones
they're
that, of course,
there.
get within range of your ear where you can hear
Right.
them,
Exactly.
but
And
you
then,
can't see them.
Then you beat yourself
I-
in the head.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to swing the racket at my head. I'm thinking dead. I don't want to do this. No.
Yeah.
It's electric.
Actually, it might be nice. You might want to try it. Better than
No.
what you're going through.
However, so after 3 days, okay, I have killed 2 mosquitoes.
Oh.
I killed them one at a time.
I think I want to cry
And the
laughing
only
here.
reason I could kill them was because they were sitting on a wall checking their email. Like they were so totally distracted.
They were talking about
I
the
go
kids.
over there with this thing and zap them. Now, the guy in 7 at One Blow, who is I reread the story. He's a particularly unpleasant hero. He's not a very nice guy. But what he does is he carves 7 at One Blow into his belt so he can brag about his, how wonderful he is and how important he is and everything. So people were telling me what I should do is leave the dead bodies on my badminton racket as evidence of my great prowess. Now, there's 2 problems with that. One is that it's yucky, okay? So I just knock them off. The other is that in an extremely target-rich environment, the fact that I've managed 2 in 4 days is not going to scare any living being.
Can we
Okay?
talk about
What if-
GPSs
what if-
next?
Yeah, what if you were to take the handle and plant it in a flower pot and turn the little beggar on and leave it standing inertly in your vicinity?
Yeah,
Well,
just stay near
I,
it.
I have a thing in the kitchen which for the fruit fly season it's just like a ultraviolet light sort of thing in a tube, and then there's an electric mesh around it that you plug into
Right.
the wall. Then there's a plastic container so that I don't electrocute myself, and all these insects just head for it and then hit the electric mesh and boom.
Well, my brother said he used to sell those zapper lights, right, that would attract bugs and kill them. He said, if you really want one and you want to spend the money for one, that's great. He said, what you do is you take it home, you wrap it in gift wrapping and give it to your neighbor so that they put it out so that all the bugs go to their yard. Because what it does is it
That's a
attracts the
solution.
bug.
Oh, now that
I'm
is
thinking personal zapper
devious.
jewelry. I think you need to
Exactly.
be able to wear
No.
some stuff.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer.
Mhm.
I just,
Yes.
they don't carry me off like they did when I was considerably younger, but there are a lot of mosquitoes around in my environment because I live in the woods. And I just, in mosquito season, when I step outside in the evening, which is when the mosquitoes come out and play, I just have insect repellent sitting in the breezeway. And the first thing I do is hose
Douse
myself
yourself,
down with this
yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah,
I've
what
been
the
using
hell?
one here lately that is a non-DEET. It's a combination of eucalyptus and lemon, I think. And I'm amazed it's working quite well.
Oh, good.
Uh,
That's good. Skin's
Well,
so
if you
soft. Used to
came
work
near
that way.
here, you would find me creeping around after dusk with a badminton racket in my hand, trying desperately
Poor
to find
Honor,
something
my
I
God.
can only hear.
You need a plan B, Honor. We're gonna get you a plan B.
Well, somebody else said, if you turn it on, they just avoid it. And I said, well, in that case, it
Fine.
works.
Just strap it to
So
your
I
back.
have it under my pillow.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get fashion garments. Maybe they
That's
can
what
make
I'm
some.
talking about. Jewelry.
You could make some kind of hat
Armbands, bracelets,
that you wear
necklaces,
and it
earrings,
makes a subsonic.
a tiara.
You wear the hat
And a belt.
and it makes a subsonic
Anklets.
noise that attracts them, and they all come buzzing around your hat and get zapped.
No. In that case, what you do is you give the hat to somebody you don't like and don't spend any time near, so they walk off and all the bugs follow them.
Good
You
luck.
have a very devious mind on it.
Good
Yes,
luck
I
with that.
quite concur. That does make more sense, doesn't it?
Sounds good, doesn't it? It would be easy.
Oh, great. Okay. What else? Pet Love, of course. The latest, the latest Happy Hunting
Well,
108
list.
was out
Yeah,
on
lush.
Friday,
It's
as it's
lush. Yeah.
the Lush edition. Yes,
Great
that's
big
rather good, isn't
lush
it?
prizes. They're beautiful. They really are.
Any other film stuff we should know about as well, Pet? By the way, yours
Oh,
or anything
you
I
know,
haven't mentioned?
LEA 2,
Mm,
Penumbra, which was Trouble Deathly's produced fashion show. It was a wedding show and it was gorgeous. And
mm.
something else, some people who have a beautiful sim that they'd like a film of. So, three films that should be out as soon as possible. I had a hard drive crash, and so, that's all I'm going to say about that. It was
Yeah,
horrible.
I
I'll say
think in
that.
the I think in the 2 months since you were last on the show, one of my computers has died its
So, you
death.
know
So
what I'm talking
I'm
about.
I'm on the old laptop now for the replacing the secondary
I
computer.
got away without backup for so long. I,
Yeah.
don't know what made me think that I would, get away with it ever. Yeah, so I finally got bitten by that. But yeah, it's just nice to be
I,
here and hear everything y'all saying. It's great. It's
yeah.
fascinating.
I have just remembered there are two things that I did miss because I haven't got anywhere down the list I've got in front of me yet. But um, there is a new edition finally of Virtual Voice. Cecilia Rockstead, who's been on our show a few
Great.
times in the
Mhm.
past. I was trying
Mhm.
to get her earlier. That was out yesterday, and that was quite a good listen. As ever as well. And although listeners won't realise this, Cold Jupiter, who's another cameraman, was actually in our audience here. He's disappeared now. Haven't told us what a great show it was. Thank you, Cold.
He's the
Um,
bomb.
he,
He's the
yeah,
greatest guy on the planet. He really is.
he actually sent me a link literally a couple of hours ago to a new video he's got out. It's actually only on Facebook, so I couldn't embed it anywhere, though I have got a copy of it. And it's a promo for next year's Miss Virtual World,
Mhm.
but it's certainly unlike any promo for Miss Virtual World I've ever seen. It's actually
Really?
sort of spooky
Oh, I
and
want to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
great sort of dramatic music
He did
and
say it was something. He did
spooky.
say it was spooky. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was talking to him.
rather
Yeah.
unexpected, but I guess it will work, and it's for something that's got to
If
pay
you
off.
can find the URL, I mean, I could probably find it, but
it's on Cold Media's Facebook page.
okay. All right.
That was where the link took me. So, but it's not anywhere else yet, as far as I know.
That's cool.
Um, Honor Roche, Roche, blog. Goodbye, Roche. The blog was written by Betty Rogan. Are you familiar with Roche?
Oh my God,
Another,
yes.
it's another one that is disappeared,
It's
apparently.
yeah. And I'm sorry guys, but people take their Sims offline for a variety of reasons, and we have no ownership in them. We can miss them,
Yeah.
but maybe someday it'll come back. Rush is one of those beautiful, beautiful landscapes that if you have a chance and it hasn't disappeared yet, let's look and see if it's disappeared.
I think it's
just
still
called
there.
Roche.
I think it's still there. It's just about to be off. So
Yeah. If you can, go visit Roche. Just to say you did see it, because it's been around for years and it's one of everybody's favorites. Yeah.
Right, and there have been over the years plenty of videos. I don't think that was a video with this blog, but there have been videos of it from time to time. So we've got a little bit to remember it by. Yeah. Presumably, you know that since you were last with us on it, that Venexia and Ghostwood, of course,
Yes.
which were two absolutely great sims, are closing down. And I pointed this out several times, actually, that a lot of people were sort of, missing, going to be missing them in Second Life. But actually, in fact, those two, they are actually moving to OpenSim. I think they'll be hypergrid enabled. I think it's called Nevermore. And they're actually opening up a grid of their own, and Venexia and Ghostwood will be
Good for them.
will actually be amongst the regions that will be on their own grid. So, and talking of which, you are Canadian, Honor. I've really got to tempt you over to the Great Canadian. It's a Great Canadian
Okay, you
Grid.
know what, Mal? Let me point out two things. I mean, I think that's wonderful that they're moving over there. They're role play sims, and if the role players stay with them, I
Yeah,
think that's great.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm echoing. But there's a lot of
You're
stuff
fine. You're
still
fine.
here.
Yeah.
And once I finish Second Life, I'll be delighted to find someplace new to explore,
I know you told me
like with Sim.
before.
Finished Second Life? What do you mean?
You can't. No, but that's the whole point. You will never finish Second Life. But no,
Exactly.
that is fair enough. It's just I do know lots of Canadians. Okay, it's quite funny because in Canada, where our headquarters are now, I see the groups and stuff like that. There's almost too many now. It's becoming like Second Life. But what is the most interesting thing to me is I always assumed that the people coming in there were moving from places on the hypergrid. And in fact, that is the case, but it's not predominantly the case. Predominantly, there are people moving from Second Life to the Great Canadian Grid for some reason, and half of them don't know what the hypergrid is. They have to be educated and told, no, if you want to go shopping, you can jump there, stuff like that. So it's actually quite fascinating. I don't know. I don't know whether it's a Canada thing or whether it's
Sounds like a noob
symptomatic.
thing. Sounds like your basic noob thing.
No. These are experienced.
Okay.
There are a lot of big stores from Second Life and stuff opening there. So
Ah.
somebody is serious about something. Obviously, but anyway, and oh yes, of course, you mentioned the humanoid resurrection. I've got the SL Newser Design blogspot.com has an article on the humanoid resurrection.
Oh, good.
It's actually quite funny because there's an animation company who do motion capture animations in Second Life called Humanoid. And they also spell their name with that combination of capitals and N's. And when I first saw news about Humanoid coming back, I immediately thought, oh, it's the animation sim, but not to be. It's another one entirely, of course. So just going down here quickly. Oh yes, in our pay, modemworld.wordpress.com also has a piece on that Project Sci-Fi 2015 machinima thing that we were talking about, so you can get all the bump from her too. Interesting odd blog, actually. I put it in the Second Life feed because I thought somebody at Second Life might ought to read it. Girl in Tech blog at wordpress.com. Girl in Tech blog, all one word. That's an article called Second Life, Where Are You Now? Well, she knows damn well where it is because she goes in and talks about it, but point taken. It's always interesting to read reports by people who revisit Second Life and either are surprised at how far it's come or maybe not so surprised that they think it's just the same old thing. Everybody's take on it is different, and I'm always fascinated by the variety of views, shall we say. Right. Okay, my link on this one is to feedproxy.google.com, so you'll have to go to Malbone's writer Twitter stream to check it out. This is about the Digital Art Expo, and if I remember rightly, it is in Second Life. As Honor was saying earlier, it's very often that we don't actually keep up with these things because they're foreign language. I mean, the title of this piece is Camino e Vivo Capo Volto. And I have no idea what language that is. It sounds like what the Latin ones.
Ciao.
Anyway, the link is on my the feed to a digital art expo. Since we've been talking about art, Honor, did you see the video of Pepperland? Anybody
No, I did not.
We visited there, I think, on or a very similar one on one of the Open Sim Safaris, Hypergrid Safari things. But there's a 12-minute video on YouTube of this thing, and it's it wasn't Fusion Hi-Fi, I don't think, or it may have been who filmed it, but it's a whole region or a collection of regions based on the Beatles. And it's Sergeant Pepper, isn't it?
Oh,
The,
outstanding.
Pepperland,
What,
and it's all looks. I'm not actually a big fan of cartoony looking builds and things unless they have some real significance. But this just looks like you're walking into like the the yellow blue meanies, yellow
that's
submarines, Sergeant
awesome.
Pepper type sort of thing.
Awesome.
And there is a 12-minute video up on that, which is well worth having a butcher's at. Right now as well, Sail for Life are having some Bleak Sea fireworks. About now, you can find out more about that. It's Sail for Life is part of Relay for Life, and there's some more about that on Daniel Voyager's blog. I didn't actually scroll down here any further because I'm barely 1.5 days into the past, and I'm not blowed if I go scroll for the whole week.
And
But
it's also
it's
we're
also
running out of time.
yes,
Now.
I know you were going to say that. I just knew you were going to say that. One blog I did have here, and of course I scrolled right on past it before I mentioned it, is there is actually a summary. Oh, Caitlin Tobias also had a blog today on Ironwood Hills. What's happened behind those rusty gates? That sounded intriguing, though it's not something I know anything about. Do you, Anna? Ironwood
Nope.
Hills? No.
I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, right. Okay. There was
I've
some...
been offline for weeks.
Yeah. Okay, no, fair enough. I just wondered. You might have come in and suddenly hopped over there because it was number one on the list for all I knew, you see. So I thought I'd say. Okay, well, the blog I was looking for seems to have temporarily... Oh, no, here we are. Right. There's a blogger called Web Spelunker. W-E-B...
Web Splunker.
Web Splunker, I call him too, yeah. WebSpelunker.blogspot.com. And his current blog, is just entitled 4th of July in Second Life. And certainly over there in the United States, it still is the 4th of July, although I hasten to add it's 10 minutes to midnight here in the UK.
The
So.
best thing to do on the 4th of July is to be in a plane coming into Philadelphia about 9:30, 9 o'clock at night when it's dark and the fireworks are all going off in all the different little townships and municipalities. It's really pretty. You see, hundreds of firework shows for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Well, talking of which, we actually have a little surprise for you at the end of the show. So I'm going to start wrapping up. That blog, by the way, is simply a resume of various events happening in Second Life right now. So that's why it's stuck in at the end there. So yes, yes, what would 4th of July be without the light shows or whatever? Okay, before we go, I'm just going to go around everybody and just ask them for some final words. Anything that excited them in the last week or so, or is exciting them what's coming up in the next week or so? It can be virtual or otherwise, whatever. I'll start with you, Anna, our treasured guest.
I just wanted to again encourage people get to layer 1 and get to layer 6 and go check out Yana's blog, and I'll have more for you next time.
Absolutely great. Okay, we look forward to it, and I hope it'd be the next first Saturday of the month. I hope.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be absolutely great. Petlove.
I was in mid-pan there. Let's see.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's quite all right. I do want to say that the birthday was great, and I really want to compliment Linden Lab on their, moving forward and just establishing better relationships with everybody, not just the community in world, but also outside world as well. It's just a pleasure to see, personally speaking. On a sadder note, I'm sure some of you knew Kat Kit, an avatar here in Second Life, an artist from New England, passed away this past
well,
spring.
hell.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected. But anyway, last words for Kat. And there's just so much to say. I'm just going to hush right now.
Yeah.
So it's good being here. Good to see y'all.
And great to see you too.
Thank you.
We miss you greatly.
Oh.
even in Canada.
I missed you too. For real.
Well, you've seen us again, and we will try and make it not so long.
We
even
won't
if you're,
become strangers.
even if you're just here as a guest, and we got somebody else.
Oh my God! Now there's a treat
Now
I never dreamed of.
Yes, yeah. Think of it that way. We'll
Oh
drag
yeah.
it to Canada.
Thanks, Mal. Thanks.
There you go.
I don't want to drive you crazy too often though, because all I do is interrupt and interject. I mean, how do you put up with it?
Easy.
Yeah, easily.
Thank you.
You talk interesting things.
Thank you.
And yes, you're yeah, and I still see. Oh, I was just taking my glasses off when I'm trying to read something. I was looking at the tag you're wearing, which
Well, that
of
gives
course
us a minute
is
to
for
dust
the
Maria off and let her know that.
CMDG. And talking of which, I don't know whether Tara realised this is a good job we don't broadcast name tags because she's got dysfunctional written over hers.
Ooh, don't make me turn the interface on.
No.
You sure, Mal? It would be
None-
like diving into the pool.
None of that, please.
Okay.
I don't know about, no, it wouldn't be diving into the pool, it would be diving into the volcano.
What's it worth to
Right.
you, Mal? No, I'm only kidding.
Don't-
Bad joke. Bad joke. Just kidding. Okay.
Okay, Maria, closing thoughts and
Okay. So,
Mm.
so the Linden Exchange, the Linden Exchange store is up. It's the lead story on hypergood business. There's links to two petitions, an English language one and a German language one. They've got between them more than 1,000 signatures. So I strongly urge people to take a look. I'm also working on a story about the fastest growing metaverse communities. And I want to give you guys a heads up, big surprise. The adult metaverse is still the fastest growing.
It would be.
So,
It would be, wouldn't it?
surprise, surprise.
Oh, of course, we're all adults, aren't we? But I think the meaning of that is different. Yes, I'm not surprised.
So
It,
that's
it
what I'm
does.
working on
It
this week.
does sell. Always did sell. Always will sell. As they say.
Yep. And I've got a little scoop for you.
Oh yes. Ooh, yes.
Avi Worlds
Oh, yo. I'm sorry.
is getting into the grid hosting business
Uh-oh.
because they say they
Now,
know
there's a scary thought.
because
We
they
can have
have
crashes
seen
in stereo. Ooh, did I say that out
everything
loud?
that
I'm sorry.
has gone wrong for them. So they're going to take this experience and use it to run a hosting company for
They
other
found
grids.
new ways.
Well, all I can say to that, we've had this discussion many times at all. Is
Aw.
stepping gently.
They're not giving up. That's good.
I wish them the absolute best of luck, and I've got a perfect thing for them to do to get started, and that is start a grid of their own and get that working as a prototype.
I think they're just
I am-
falling asleep for weeks at a time and just blowing it off. No, I'm only kidding. They are really nice people, and they are not
They are.
quitters. They are not quitters. As,
That's
No,
true.
no,
you
no,
know,
no,
you
sure,
can't
always.
take that away from them.
We've had them been on here, and they really, it really is genuinely nice people, self-effacing too. You know.
Yeah.
I it's not so much that they're not quitters as they're bad at quitting because they quit so many times and
Maria.
promise never to come back, and then they're back again the next week.
And forget about quitting while you're ahead, right?
Yeah, you can't. Well, it's the other expression. You can't keep a good dog down, or whatever it is. So
There you go. The flip side of the Wookiee.
The flip side of it, yes.
Of the Wookiee. I like that.
I like being piggy in the middle there, on both sides of the argument.
Mm.
Okay, Tara, closing thoughts.
Well, hopefully it will cool off enough sometime in the next century, in the next week, for me to actually put in some quality time when I have a functional brain on Blender. That's kind of my big thing. But the other thing, our bear here, who's a regular on the show, although he's kind of the silent type,
Oh, the
informed me
hats.
that actually
I love that bit.
he informed me that he's actually has a cousin named Smokey the bear.
Oh.
And Smokey the Bear gave him the hat that he's wearing for the 4th of July. And he also told our bear that this is a wonderful time to let off virtual fireworks, especially for those of us in the Pacific Northwest, where we are in a red flag warning, fire danger situation at this point that has got everybody very nervous. So, that's the nice thing about virtual fireworks is you can't set anything on fire. He's going to set off some fireworks for us here,
Okay.
and this will actually begin with.
I think what I'll do then is I'll close the show and then we'll get the camera to go out on the fireworks. Does that sound like a good idea?
I'm going to make it midnight.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it midnight, so go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, his hat is going off currently.
Yes,
and
is.
there will be more joining it.
Okay, I can see them coming, so I better hurry up. I better hurry up indeed. Okay, well, that's it for this week, folks. We will be back next week. We'll be at our HQ studios on the Great Canada Grid. But for the moment, that's it. I wish you all a very good morning, a very good evening, a very good afternoon, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we will be back a week after the fireworks finish. So, bye for now.